Welcome back to Time for Gardening. If you're dreaming of a cottage garden with rustic charm and eco-friendly touches, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into a beautiful project that transforms reclaimed pallet wood into a functional and decorative rustic garden gate. Whether you're working with a small space or building a full garden enclosure, this DIY adds charm and character on a budget. We'll walk you through every step, from sourcing free pallets to adding vintage-style hardware. Be sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment sharing your favorite garden DIY project. Let's get ready to turn trash into a timeless treasure for your outdoor space. Grab your tools and a cup of tea. It's time to get inspired. Not all pallets are created equal, especially when it comes to garden projects. For a rustic pallet garden gate, you'll want to choose heat-treated pallets with minimal damage or staining. Look for the HT stamp and avoid those marked MB, which may contain harmful chemicals. Aged pallets with visible wood grain and weathering bring a naturally rustic feel, perfect for a cottage garden setting. It's also smart to check for rot and structural weakness before getting started. If you can, Select planks with varied tones to give your gate more depth and charm. Remember, imperfections in the wood will actually enhance the vintage look we're going for. Before construction begins, prepping the wood is key for both aesthetics and safety. Start by dismantling the pallet using a crowbar or oscillating tool, being careful not to split the boards. Sand each plank thoroughly to smooth splinters and raise the grain, giving the wood a naturally worn-in finish. For a truly rustic look, you can selectively leave some rough textures and small nail holes intact. A medium grit sandpaper works well here. Not too harsh, but enough to reveal character. You'll also want to measure and pre-cut your pieces to save time later. This simple step transforms old planks into purposeful materials. Now that your pallet wood is prepped, it's time to design your garden gate. Sketch a plan based on the width of your garden entryway. Standard gates are often 36 inches wide. Consider whether you want a single swing gate or double doors for a more dramatic cottage effect. For structural support, include a cross brace in your layout, typically installed in a Z or diagonal pattern. Keep your design simple and let the natural wood tell the story. The beauty of a rustic gate is that it doesn't need to be perfect, just solid and charming. Don't forget to measure twice before cutting anything final. Let's bring your design to life by constructing the frame. Use your thicker pallet planks to create a sturdy rectangular shape. Fasten the corners with exterior-grade screws or galvanized nails to ensure longevity outdoors. Adding your cross brace now provides extra stability and prevents sagging over time. Double-check that the frame is square using a speed square or level. This will make hinge installation much easier later. It's also a great time to dry fit your frame at the garden entrance to ensure a good fit. Once the frame feels sturdy and balanced, you're ready to attach the slat. This step brings the rustic charm front and center. Lay out your cleaned pallet planks across the gate frame and play with the arrangement until you love the look. Use different tones and textures to give your gate a whimsical, shabby chic appearance. Secure the boards using exterior wood screws or nails, spacing them evenly or overlapping slightly for a traditional barn-style effect. If you're adding any curved tops or decorative cuts, now's the time to trace and jigsaw them into shape. Don't be afraid to let some of the wood's natural imperfections shine through. That's the magic of rustic design. To keep your garden gate looking lovely season after season, apply a protective sealant. Use a water-based outdoor wood sealant that's safe for garden environments and won't leach into the soil. If you prefer a painted look, try a milk paint or eco-friendly chalk paint for a faded vintage finish. For extra texture, distress the painted areas by lightly sanding edges after drying. Wax or oil finishes also work well if you want to enhance the wood grain. These small decisions make a big difference in how your gate blends with your garden's storybook charm. Let's get that gate swinging. Choose strong, weather-resistant hinges. Black wrought iron styles add a lovely antique touch. Place the hinges about 6 to 8 inches from the top and bottom of your gate, securing them into both the gate frame and the adjacent fence post or wall. Make sure the gate swings freely and smoothly without dragging on the ground. If your posts aren't perfectly level, shim the hinges slightly until balanced. Rustic gates are forgiving, but smooth functionality is still important. Once installed, give it a test. Open and close satisfying, right? To complete your pallet garden gate, install a simple latch or slide bolt to keep it secure. A vintage handle or salvaged iron knocker can turn your gate into a standout garden feature. Want more charm? Add a small planter box, a climbing rose trellis, or a hanging lantern to the gate face. These little details give your gate that storybook cottage look that's both romantic and practical. Repurposed metal pieces or old drawer pulls also work wonders as quirky embellishments. Your gate isn't just functional, it's now part of your garden's personality. Once the gate is installed, blend it seamlessly with the rest of your cottage garden. Surround it with flowering borders, wild herbs, or rustic stepping stones to make it feel like it's always belonged there. Climbing plants like sweet peas, clematis, or rambling roses add height and frame the gate beautifully. You might even build a matching archway overhead using more reclaimed wood or willow branches. Your gate becomes a focal point, a whimsical entrance that invites guests into your green sanctuary. Keep the area tidy and prune regularly to let the gate remain center stage. Even rustic beauty needs a little upkeep. Inspect your garden gate every few months for signs of wear, loose screws, or water damage. Reapply sealant every 12 to 18 months, especially if your gate gets a lot of sun or rain. If wood starts to warp or splinter, sand it down and reseal or touch up the finish. Oil hinges periodically to prevent squeaking or rust. These quick check-ins will keep your gate sturdy, safe, and stunning for years to come. A little love goes a long way when it comes to handmade garden pieces. Congratulations! You've built a rustic pallet garden gate that's both eco-friendly and full of character. By turning discarded wood into a charming garden feature, you've added warmth and storytelling to your outdoor space. Every nail, board, and brushstroke speaks to the creativity and heart you've put into your cottage garden. Thank you so much for watching and being part of our gardening journey. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and share your gate photos or ideas in the comments. We can't wait to see what you build next. Until then, happy gardening from Time for Gardening.